And her symptoms were not those of parvo. She didn't experience dehydration from a lack of eating and intake. Like, she didn't experience a lack of appetite at all. You know what I mean? So, the real tip-off was she had really started like licking her paw ridiculously, and that's really like, that's a sure sign in the dog, man, that something's fucking with his stomach. Anyway, so after all of the medicated treatments, I was still dissatisfied with what I was seeing out of Raina. And we were coming up on the last day here or so. Just the other day. So I had made up my mind that if I was gonna do it, I would go ahead and do the AI. I wasn't gonna even play around with them doing the mating dance and all of that. She was standing still for the stick and all of that, but it being her first time and him being such a bruiser when he goes in, you know what I mean? Like, he beat a bitch up when he goes, like, god damn, he be doing the most. Anyway, I decided not to do that breeding, you know. Now, feeling some kind of way about it, obviously. But it's been my experience, man, that usually these things, they flow the way they do for a reason. And for me, the timing and the health of the dog is paramount. If you're gonna bring pups into this world, you don't want to put the stress and strain of heavy medications on the female. At the same time, her body's trying to fight this thing. And again, that fucking 10-in-1 was a bad idea. And I attribute that shit to what I call breeder's paranoia syndrome. You know what I mean? Like, you about to do a breeding, you want to make sure everything is right. I normally don't do a whole lot of vaccinating on my dogs, B. I trust the natural immunity. And a great deal of that is their nutrition, what goes into their diet. So, I don't know, I just personally felt like, you know, she wasn't at her best. Not to mention, he wasn't at his best. You know, it takes a while for that coccidia shit to really be killed off to a point where the dogs are not sick anymore. And understand that the nature of coccidia is such that, you know, dogs are damn near born with it. Right? Like, shaking coccidia, shit like coccidia and parvo is almost impossible. Typically, what you're trying to do is prevent an outbreak. Them fucking diseases are like herpes or some shit, you know what I mean? Like you just trying to prevent this shit from surfacing, but it's always there. So hence you want to be extra careful with your the measures you take as far as how you work your dog and so forth. It's one of the reasons why I've adopted this method of working with the dogs, because I'm not wholly comfortable with the whole, you know, like, there's all types of animal feces out here, right? We have about 10 to 20 animals out there, 10 to 20 different types of groundhogs and, you know, freaking, what do you call those damn things? They're called, like the wolverines and shit, the badgers. That's what I'm thinking of, right? So if you look over here, right, you'll see this hole. This hole down here is a classic example. They burrow all through these They make holes, and there's literally a whole highway of burrows all through this entire yard. So, I mean, you get a little bit of everything, you know, skunks, possums, the groundhogs, you get them all. And that's one of the things that you have to really be conscious of. So, I'm not a big fan of these, you know, I mean, I want them to be able to track scents and all of that, but they have to really, really be pretty, I want to see them, I just like to really see them stay as safe as possible, and that's very difficult in this environment, right? It's extremely difficult. Even these trees very often will house like animals. I don't know if y'all can see that, but these animals make their way in and around everything. Look at them. You see them? So he sees it. So at this point, man, it's just about keeping them safe, man, and looking 6 months or so down the line towards the next breeding, towards the next heat cycle. I don't see where we can miss with that. But I just gotta have 100% healthy dogs, man, for me to feel comfortable doing that breeding. You know, God forbid, you know, all that shit running around. Ain't no telling what the pups would be born with, what they'll be contracting. And the fact that they can not only contract some crazy shit, but put such a stress and strain on the mother. Like how would she survive that? The medications, the disease, you know, and that's another thing. It's kind of crazy when you put those diseases in your dog like that through vaccination. I know the whole idea is supposed to be that you're helping the dog to create antibodies against these things, but you're also just basically making your dog sick and forcing your dog to fight it off. Now, that's not always the move.